Oh, wow. Good morning. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's June 2021. We're entering the second summer of the COVID, and we're approaching Canada Day. It's a few weeks away, but I wanted to discuss the country and the ideas that the country rests on. And one of those ideas is that diversity is our strength. As a nation, we have, of course, historically done stupid things. One of these stupid things is that we imitated the English and the Americans with their race consciousness and their quest for a pure race society. We imitated them. We made that mistake. We own that mistake. We say, yes, we have made that mistake. And we backed away from that brink. We backed away. And now we are working to be a better country. Racial purity is the great delusion. It is a fantasy that contributes nothing to the country, nothing to the individual. It is only a burden. And it's something we should shed. We should get rid of the concept. Get rid of the idea completely, because it's poisonous. It is a toxic idea. And it's an idea we don't want and we don't need. What we want and what we need is the diversity that it takes to be a country that always has a resource among its people. The diversity of genetics, the diversity of ideas, the diversity of opinions, which make it possible for us as a nation to adapt to any circumstance. Whatever happens, we've got somebody who can come up with a way to deal with it. And you don't have that when you have race consciousness. You don't have that when you're striving for racial purity. Instead, you are at the mercy of every disaster. And the COVID has shown us this. We are a stronger country for our diversity. And no, we are not a perfect country. We are not an infallible nation. We have made the mistakes. And we will continue to make mistakes as a nation. And we will continue to back away from those mistakes and say, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And we will continue to celebrate and cherish all of our people. All of our people. And right now, we have a huge problem with the deliberate targeting of one group within our country who have been demonized in the media for decades. A Canadian family who happened to be Muslims were murdered by a Canadian acting under the influence of American propaganda. Yes, Canadians are exposed to American propaganda constantly. We're bombarded with it. And unfortunately, this man watches Fox News, and he's a Trumper, and he's a conservative voter, and he's a staunch supporter of the idea that Canada should merge with America, that we should be Americans. And he murdered a family in the name of that ideological position down in London, Ontario. He murdered a family in the name of that ideological position. And that's one of the mistakes this country has made, is allowing this sort of racist hate propaganda to permeate our culture And it's not our propaganda, it's foreign propaganda. Make no mistake, we did not produce this crap. Somebody else did. We just allowed them to flood our media with it. And it's time. It's time to say, okay, this is the border. Fox News is no longer welcome. This is the border. Breitbart is no longer welcome. This is the border. Stormfront is no longer welcome. And if Hollywood wants to continue to sell products in this country, Hollywood needs to smarten up. Clean up their act. And now would be a really good time to revitalize the Canadian motion picture industry. We used to have one. Back before the Conservative government decided that we could depend on the Americans for our movies. Yeah. A mistake which the Liberals failed to correct. Yeah. You'll notice that I don't buy into the dichotomy of liberal versus conservative. It's like, no. No. NDP. NDP. Yeah. But in any case, we can revitalize the Canadian motion picture industry. We can start putting out Canadian movies that celebrate Canadian character and Canadian heritage, and movies which address Canadian mistakes and say, yes, we did this, we made this mistake, and we're never going to make this mistake again. We as a nation can, I believe, and I hope, we as a nation can acknowledge the fact that we have made mistakes in the past. And we can learn from those mistakes. Because Canada is a work in progress. Canada will always be a work in progress. Because when you decide that you have achieved completion and perfection, what you've really achieved is the beginning of the end. You stop growing, you stop developing, and you start dying. Thank you, Miigwech. Have a nice day.